1 second. Come on, Telegram. 1 sec. Oh, there we go. Should be live now on Telegram. There we go. Good morning, everybody. It's the 25th of April 2025, and the European markets will open in approximately, let's see, in approximately, by the way, you are welcome to use this piece of software free of charge. Open in 6 minutes. I'll be with you momentarily. Yeah, I think I'm definitely live. What else do I need? Let's see here. There we go. Okay. Live and up and running. Let me just get the stake sizes in. Okay. So I think I'd like to start off by, no, I have one more thing to do. So good morning, everybody. I hope you're well. It's Friday, the 25th. I think I've already said that. And we have one trading day left of the week. This week I will be, today, this video here is video number 99. Christ, there's been 99 videos already in 2025. So I can celebrate video number 100 if I trade this afternoon, which I fully intend to do. I'd like to apologize, first of all, for yesterday morning. I think, in hindsight, I should have listened to my body and said, don't trade, man. Just walk away, do something else. I tried to trade, and as a result of it, I executed. It wasn't so much that my DAX trade, the second trade, was a bad trade. I just moved my stop loss up too quick, and as a result of it, got stopped out. Had I stuck to the original stop loss, I would have written all of that. I don't know if you are mindful of this, but the brunch break absolutely saved my ass for myself, which is this bar here, and which I should have published material on in my resource channel. But what I really wanted to talk to you about this morning is a somewhat different topic. I'd like to just sort of give you a sense of, damn, I think I'm still missing one chart. 1 second. No, there it is. Okay. I think I'd like to just give you my opinion on what I think this market is doing. And, opinions are like assholes. We all have one, but that doesn't make it particularly interesting. So I will put that as a caveat. I am not saying that that my idea where this market is going is worth listening to. Not at all. But since you are here anyway and you're tuned in, I thought I'd give it to you. And it comes with a little story. And I think that story goes a little bit like this. So this is a weekly chart of the Dow Jones Index. And knowing full well that we got 30 odd seconds, where do I think, I want to answer this question here. Where do I think the markets are going now? I think the markets are going back up here so that we will see new highs in 2025. That's what I think. Why do I think that? Well, I have seen this pattern before, and I think that's what I want to get at is, and I would love to tell you the story behind, knowing full well that the markets will open in, there we go, they are open. Before I became a broker in London, I worked for a company called, at the time it was called Chase Manhattan Bank. And I started working for them in Jesus, when did I begin to work for them? I think it was early 1997. Yeah. And what made that particular period of time so memorable was that the US indices was on a protracted bull run. And there was this hype about when would the Dow reach 10,000, which became evident in particular in 98, where it came quite close up to 19,500. But then in July, August 1998, and you may say, well, why is a person who is working as a non-trading position at an investment bank or whatever Chase Manhattan Bank was or is before it became JP Morgan Chase? Well, we were all issued stock options. And I remember very clearly that our stock options was tied to the share price as it is. And the share price in turn obviously was governed by the underlying strength of the market, hence the Dow Jones Index. And I remember this correction so vividly in 1998 because we came to work every single day and we saw how the share price plunged and plunged and plunged and plunged. And then it found a low. Now, I didn't know a jack shit about technical analysis back then, but it found a low down here. And then, and this is the important bit, then you saw a negative week and what's called a retest. And that test held, and the market zoomed up to make new highs before the end of the year. Now, if I ask you just to try and memorize this pattern here. We are seeing here, down, lower end of the, down to the trading range, up, retest, and then a resurrection. And then I compare that to where we are today. Some will say, and hey, you know, what is the markets repeat, but not exactly. I'm arguing that this is that low end of the range that was tested. I argue that this point here was that retest. I know it didn't come all the way down, and I may be early, has happened before, but my argument here is this low is going to hold. And I started buying shares, physical shares that is, and perhaps it would be a good idea to show you the daily chart. Because I had this idea, sorry, my voice is a little croaky. I haven't really spoken to anybody today, so that's the reason why. I started buying shares when we went below that low here. So you could also say, well, I am swayed by my own position. I absolutely agree with that. But my argument here is we're headed back up here to 45,000 in the Dow. If I show you the Nasdaq, hang on, we have a first bar negative buy setup in the FTSE. Please stand by. So the low was 8418. Let's see if we can get a fill. I'm buying the FTSE here at 20. The actual low is 8418.7, so not the best of fills. If I had just double clicked my software, I would have actually just created an order. And I think I should have done that. Let me just delete that so it doesn't, so I don't have a double entry. So the same pattern, I believe, is taking place in the Nasdaq. If I go back to so here's the Nasdaq. You'll see that the Nasdaq back in 1998 roughly did the same pattern, but you actually had a much more pronounced test here. And that's obviously the risk that I run. And then looking at the same pattern here, I decided to start being a buyer when we went below last week's low. And if I show you this on the daily chart, it looks roughly something like this. So whenever there has been an opportunity to do so, you saw me yesterday morning, I had engaged in a position in the Nasdaq. I did the same in the Dow last night. Which looked, so let me just find yesterday, where you can see here on the chart where I bought. I thought that this area here was just an attempt to clear out stop losses, and I bought right here just before the open. Dow actually went against me by 100 points and then zoomed higher. This was an awful fill in the FTSE. I'll show you the where was the close yesterday? Why is it not showing that? Not sure why it's not showing that. Let me just relaunch that chart. There we go. Huh. I don't understand why it's not showing yesterday's close. So if developer, if you're seeing this, I don't understand why it's not showing it, or what I'm doing wrong. But I'm just being lazy because I can just go over here. So yesterday's close was here around 8413, and we basically just filled that gap right here with this low here. So that's my working model for what's taking place, which is why I was also looking for a low yesterday in the DAX, and I lost. But as you know, there's a big difference between being a trader and an investor. Two very different things. So I'm probably going to be a buyer of the DAX down here at the low end of the range. I'm buying the DAX here. So decided to try and be a buyer down here. The more patient trader probably would have waited until we were actually down near the lows. Ooh, my FTSE is not actually looking that good. Neither is my DAX. But the FTSE in particular is not looking good. I'm going to add to my DAX. I'd love to move stop loss up to break even as soon as I can on my first entry. Here's my FTSE position. My FTSE position concerns me a little bit. So my DAX is also concerning me. My aggressive stance is backfiring on me. I'll show you my account. It's not what you want to see when you've added to a trade. I'm closing my add-on for 40-point loss, 45-point loss. Damn. My FTSE. Just gonna give it a little longer. I know my stop loss is 30 points, but I tend only to give these positions a 20-point margin for error. So both the FTSE and the DAX is losing me. As I see it, the FTSE closed at 8,400, what, 847 yesterday. So it's basically filled the gap. See the feed works for the DAX. Don't know why it doesn't work for the FTSE. All right. I'm going to close my FTSE. So the first bar negative failed. There's the first bar. Tried to be a buyer below. Didn't do a very good job of that. It went 7 points in my favor. Not me, but if you had been a buyer below, prior bar low. And now it's actually falling further, as is my DAX. So far not a very good morning for me. So just to show you the transactions, I lost 300 on the FTSE and 200 on the DAX add-on. We're coming up to the school run bar. As you can see, my DAX position, just trying to be a normal buyer below the trading range or around the trading range, isn't faring very well. There's aggressive school run long and aggressive school run short. So the market is trading below the the, shall we say, the range of the fourth 5-minute candle. So now, traditional school run has triggered. I ignored it yesterday at great cost to me. And now as we are trading at the low end of the range and there's a risk that the school run short will trigger, I'm actually finding myself on the long side. Leaving me balancing a mechanical approach with an opinion. School run short has triggered, I'm not in. I'm going to take a chance and do the reverse, but via the FTSE, buying here at 8401, thinking that this is a fake breakout in the DAX, but I can't add to a losing trade here. So taking a long position in the FTSE. and using a 10-point stop loss. Make that 11. No, actually it would be 12. There we go. I'll move my stop loss to 97.3. DAX is not really able to clear this range. Not the bulls, not the bears. I'm gonna add to my FTSE position. Interesting price action in the DAX compared to the FTSE. So just a recap here. So far I am down about £550 this morning. And it looks like I'm coming up for air in the DAX. Probably safe to put stop loss to break even now. I'll add to the DAX. I'm going to add to my footsie. Hmm. DAX school run long will trigger at 51, but it's inside the trading range, so let's give this a little bit more time. I'll add to my DAX. Hmm. Come on. School run will trigger 51. I'm gonna close my footsie. Footsie lost 25 and made 232. There wasn't anything wrong with the footsie position. I just felt I had quite a lot of exposure in the DAX as well. And I'd really quite like this DAX to attempt a pop at 51. As I said, there was nothing wrong with the footsie position. I had a target of 25 and I was aggressively pursuing that, because you often see the footsie, whenever it prints bars like this, it will create what's the word? It will retrace these bars, but I was beginning to think, all right, maybe it just wants to go up here. And I didn't really want to be a dick for a tick and be caught with my trousers down on a double position. So this is it in the DAX. I'm going to close some of these positions. Come on. closing the the second add-on. I'm closing the first add-on. So I'll show you on the so not a terribly convincing trading morning. Lost 550, made 230 back. And then a bit of change. Damn you, footsie. That was an extra 5 points could have been made. 6. Fuck. 7. Oh, you should have trusted myself. But I was trying to play the money management consideration as well. I have to acknowledge that. Gonna move stop loss to break even on this one. I'm gonna close my DAX. It kind of makes it a break-even morning for me. I'm not overly impressed with my trading this morning. Started the account of 32,099. Actually, sorry, I'm lying. I'm down 100. I'm not overly impressed, but I suppose losing 100 on a 50,000 pound account is sort of within the realms of anyway. I don't want to be too hard on myself. I traded really poorly on Wednesday, acknowledged it, stepped away. Traded really poorly yesterday morning as well, acknowledged it and stepped away, and so yeah, could have done a lot better. So here's the here are the transactions for this morning. Ballsed up the DAX. Kept my cool on the other DAX, and I think the trade I'm most pleased with is my decision to read this as a fake breakout in the DAX, but because I can't add to a losing position. That's one of my fundamental principles. But what I can do is I can take a position. You could actually say this is a sneaky clandestine way of adding to a losing position, isn't it? But I felt that it was worth the risk in the FTSE. So where the DAX actually triggered the long signal, I took it in the FTSE instead, and I pretty much made up what I lost on the first FTSE. Not entirely, obviously, but short of a handful of points made it back. I'm pleased with that. Decision to get out in the DAX, well, maybe that wasn't the worst idea in the world. That was pretty intense. Don't like losing money when I'm trading live. But of course it happens, and it happened this morning. So I started the account at, call it 32,100, and let's just call it as it's at 32,000 minus change. So I'm down £100. So there you go. Right. Let me take a screenshot of this so there's complete transparency. Suppose I should apologize for the these positions here. It was just, you saw the Nasdaq yesterday, and well, the Dow, that was just, didn't know it was going to be that much. Wow, look at the DAX now. Interesting, in the DAX, I was just about to say I want to be a buyer here, but I actually need to finish off now. But we just went below prior bar low. Do you see that on the 5 minute? Okay. If it can't be any other way, then let it be that the loss was insignificant compared to the account size. Thanks for tuning in. I will be here for video number 100 a little bit later on. Thanks a lot. I appreciate you being here. All the very best. Bye-bye for now.